Comicazi Videodrome. That's Comicazi Mike.
That is Miracle Max, and we are joining Bosk and the other bounty hunters in the back room of Comicazi for this edition of Look Kids Comicazi Videodrome.
Who's your favorite bounty hunter?
Bosk.
Dengar. Dengar all the way.
As long as we can agree that it's not Forlom.
So on our first edition of the Videodrome, we talked about Marvel Now, the Marvel Publishing Initiative.
And Uncanny Avengers and how that kicked that all off.
And that's been really great, and they've been doing really well. So well that they're doing an all-new Marvel Now for the spring season, where they're introducing a bunch of cool new titles starring a host of new writers and artists.
It's very Stan Lee of you.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm really excited for it. They kicked it off this week with the Marvel, with their .1, which is kind of their new sort of annual, like everything annual, where you get a little bit of each new series that's coming out. And they got some cool stuff in there. Particularly the new Ms. Marvel, which I'm actually pretty excited for. I personally enjoy the young teen hero aspect. And recently, you know, when you think about that genre, you automatically think of like, oh, the Teen Titans, Robin, and all these DC books. Recently, I think Marvel's really done a great job establishing their line of young heroes. And when you think about it, that makes sense considering they have the original young hero.
The young heroes, the whole teen sidekick young hero thing has been around since almost the beginning of superhero comics.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it does seem to be, I don't know if you call it a renaissance, but it's
still
a huge upswell in teen comics, and I think that's...
Particularly in the thought of having new characters and new ideas, because what's newer than youth? And the new Ms. Marvel, if you haven't been paying attention to the news, she's a Muslim teenager, which is, yeah, just a thing in this world. And it's good, and people are kind of up in arms about it, as they always are. But she's really cool, she's got a cool set of powers, she's a shape changer, which I always like. Have you seen her lately?
I have, yeah.
She can fly, I don't know how she flies. Whatever, but oh no, she doesn't fly. She doesn't fly. She stretches and she walks like really long distances. So she's kind of freakish. She's kind of got these a freakish set of powers, but they're really overt and fun. And I'm sure there's lots of creative ways they're going to be using it. It's just so weird to tie it into Ms. Marvel. You know what I mean? Because when you think of Ms. Marvel, what do you think of?
You think of Carol Danvers,
and her powers are just like cosmic and like very typical superhero powers. So now you have this sort of new teenager featuring sort of a new demographic for comics characters, and it's pretty cool. It's written by G. Willow Wilson, who is a Muslim, so you're going to get a real experience.
She did Air for Vertigo Comics.
Air, oh yeah, Air, pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and I think it's going to do pretty well right out.
Bring back the sash too, the Ms. Marvel sash.
Yeah, she's got the old colors, but. That's just one of the all-new Marvel
Now there's a lot of them. There's a ton. The more you think about it, there's actually a ton of them.
We should probably kind of give a little breakdown of all-new Marvel Now and how
you want to... All right, you do one, I'll do one.
All-new Marvel Now is a response to the initiative of the Marvel Now from a year and a half ago, where there's some confusion where there are some titles that, like Daredevil and Captain Marvel, that are ending, but they're going to start again in all new Marvel Now.
But it's more of a, it's not only is it a publishing thing, because it turns out these #1s do boost sales, which is fine, whatever. But they're also really making an effort to make sure that these books are starting at a new place, like Daredevil, who is moving back to San Francisco.
That's an old 70s storyline.
Awesome.
Mark Waid is very referential.
Mark Waid's the man, and when you think about what he's done with Daredevil over the last couple of years, where he's brought the character back to his 60s roots as like this, you know, Daredevil, a superhero swashbuckler, stepping out of the shadows of his ninja origins.
He's so not Frank Millerish.
Oh, it's great. And then to continue that story going into the 70s, it makes you, like, as a Bronze Age comic fan, makes me really excited.
Yeah, I'm pretty psyched about that.
Let's see, what else? There's an all-new Invaders from James Robinson, who is the man who gets Golden Age characters down so well. If you haven't read his other stuff, Starman, obviously, fantastic. JSA The Golden Age is one of my favorite stories.
It's a great
so good. Oh my god. And the thought of him taking on the concept of the Invaders. And the Invaders, kind of like the Justice Society a couple years ago, they are like a group of heroes that are still around, and it makes sense that they're all still around, and they all fought in World War II. So,
yeah.
From what you see in the Marvel .1, Human Torch is back to his roots as a mechanic, just kind of living in the middle of nowhere. Namor is, of course, the troubled king of Atlantis.
Well, you know, he can't wear shoes. He's
can't.
got wings on his feet.
Yeah. I'd be a little...
What else? We got Warren Ellis's Moon Knight coming up.
Oh my god!
I know lots of people are pumped for that,
good.
and hopefully we can get Moon Knight done as good as his original series.
Have you seen his new costume?
I have.
It's pretty cool. It's got some black highlights to it, so he's
Yeah.
a little stark. And if you like Moon Knight and kind of want to get a preview of this series, if you want to see, check out Warren Ellis's Secret Avengers run. The save. It was like.
Yeah.
I forget what it was.
It's
How it started.
It's volume 3 of Secret Avengers, before Rick Remender took over.
And there's a great moment where Moon Knight infiltrates this casino, and you see he's got this kind of awesome alternate costume, which, without giving too much away, it's just a suit and tie with the Moon Knight hood, and it's still all white, and it looks fantastic.
And another title that I'm pretty pumped about is Silver Surfer.
Oh yeah,
by Dan Slott and Mike Allred.
That's gonna be sweet.
It promises to be awesome, even despite Mike Allred. I know I'm killing some people who like Mike Allred, but
I think it's gonna be perfect for this.
I think Allred's art is a good match for Silver Surfer. Although reading the short story in this, I kind of got a Doctor Who vibe off of it.
I read an interview saying that's where kind of Dan Slott's coming from. And what I like Silver Surfer as a supporting character, honestly, because otherwise, when he's on his own, he's just kind of a little too morose, and he's a little too sad, and he's got the soliloquies and whatnot. And I know a lot of people like the Stan Lee stuff, and I do too, but that stuff's a little too long-winded for me. But a little bit.
No.
Yeah.
You're a little long-winded.
I know. Well, let me finish. But this one promises to be a little different. I think they've realized that Silver Surfer has a lot. I think they've realized, just in general, that their cosmic characters have a lot of potential to be funny. To have a light-hearted sense about them, especially when there are characters like Rocket Raccoon and Groot running around.
In space, no one can hear you laugh.
That's true. But this one promises to be a little funny, especially Silver Surfer. There's a really funny part where I won't tell you. It's good. It involves the fact that the Silver Surfer's bald, but bald is beautiful, like they say. Whoa, that light!
Oh yeah!
Oh my god!
If this is too much action for you, take it up with this guy.
On the other side of the coin, I've been actually kind of dipping my toe into the waters with a lot of DC titles.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been pretty fun, when you take it with someone with a grain of salt. But two of the books that I've really enjoyed lately are Justice League Dark and Justice League 3000.
I think that might be because of J.M. DeMatteis.
Yeah!
You are a fan, aren't you?
One of my favorite books, one of the books that got me into reading a lot of comic books was Justice League International.
Oh, yeah.
The J.M. DeMatteis, Keith Giffen years. So I'm really happy to see that those two guys are still teaming up together on new stuff, not just they're going back and doing the blah-ha-ha days, but they're doing a new dysfunctional team in the form of Justice League 3000.
That does sound all new DC now.
a little bit. So it's pretty cool. As opposed to kind of the Legion of Superheroes, they're deciding to go into even further into the future with an incarnation of the Justice League that's pretty out there. They have a dark, deadly secret that ties them into the past, which is also really fun. And it's got Howard Porter on art. And Howard Porter's, one of my other favorite books, Grant Morrison's Justice League, which features
Recently reread it. So good.
So good. And Howard Porter is awesome. He's kind of got this, he really does have this Kirby feel without kind of overdoing it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't necessarily see the Kirby in him all the time, but then you look at his kind of big, chunky faces.
He evokes Kirby without aping him. Yes.
Good, yes, very good. And he does really good Kirby dots, which are just great. And then on the other side of the coin, Justice League Dark takes place in the present, and it mostly features John Constantine. And
a mystical character.
Yeah, if you think about it now, I know a lot of people are really upset with John Constantine being in the DCU and being part of the Justice League, but it's really, in my opinion, fun to think about this absolute character who has just wallowed in the worst filth for the last 20 years or whatever. Now he's like the Doctor Strange of the DC universe. That's really... Yeah, he's like...
I am curious to read this. And
it's fun, and everyone hates him. Everyone still hates him. Like, so don't worry about that, fans. Everyone still hates John Constantine. But he's got this team in the form of the Justice League Dark, and right now they're really... And correct me if I'm wrong, but DeMatteis did have a run on the Defenders at some point, right?
Great run on the Defenders.
Yeah, this
starting with issue 94, and it went up to like 130.
Wow, that's a pretty impressive run. And this book to me is a lot of Defenders. The team is kind of coming together really haphazardly. They don't get along. You kind of get this fun sort of Hulk in the form of Swamp Thing. You have this new character called Nightmare Nurse who is absolutely inexplicable with her powers, and that name Nightmare Nurse is so cheesy that even the characters make fun of it. It's really fun. And like I said, they're embroiled in the Forever Evil crossover right now, but they're not really fighting the crime syndicate. They're fighting a new threat in the form of the Blight, which is the crime syndicate have come to our Earth, and due to this dimensional incursion, all the negative feelings that society feels that live in the hearts of humanity are all forming in this cosmic ether to create this Blight demon.
That is very much a J.M. DeMatteis trope.
It's fun. So you get a lot of characters. We have to fight this demon. How do we do that? Let's have a seance. Love him. And so they're all sitting in a circle and they're all going off into their heads and, fighting their worst nightmares, which is really fun. And
so a lot of introspective character moments throughout his run, but that was always one of his hallmarks.
Yes, a lot of character introspective and people questioning their motives because they're fighting a weird villain that is pretty much just the sum of all the negative feelings. So, kind of dark side, kind of, kind of Dormammu. Pretty cool.
Where did he pick up? Like, last I knew, Jeff Lemire was writing it, and I read a couple issues, and I kind of dug it.
This
is issue 25.
25, I think they're up to issue 27 now.
It should be, yeah.
And I think he started on issue 24.
Okay,
and
so should be easily caught up on.
Hopefully he sticks around for a while. I know that book has had a couple writers now, and I know J.M. DeMatteis is a workhorse, so...
Yeah, he's also doing The Phantom Stranger, which is one of the few DC books that I really like.
Phantom Stranger, also really cool. And they're all Constantine, Justice League Dark, and Phantom Stranger are all crossing over, and Pandora too. All the mystical side of the DCU, which I think has been really nurtured and developed into a cool part of their superhero universe now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Another old writer, well, I wouldn't call him an old writer, but a writer who's been...
He's getting old.
Yeah, and he's been writing for a while. Garth Ennis. He's got a new title out that... It's not awesome, it's not Preacher, but...
It's fun.
It's fun. I'm digging it. Rover Red Charlie.
Yeah, it's got your kind of typical Garth Ennis, like really, really, really dark content, But it's about talking dogs. It's Homeward Bound during the apocalypse.
Yes.
If that means anything to you.
These guys are great. Homeward Bound during the apocalypse.
It is.
I don't know how you top that.
I mean, for those people who haven't seen Homeward Bound, it's about these talking dogs who get lost during some mysterious apocalypse. Mm-hmm. And since they're dogs, you're kind of in the dark as well as they are. And he's got, other writers who tackle the talking animal, he's got a fun way of making these animals talk. Like, for instance, whenever they bark, whenever a dog is barking, they're actually saying...
They're declaring, I'm a dog.
I'm a dog.
I'm a dog.
I'm a dog. I'm a dog. So, which is really, really fun.
And you see that there's a little, I don't know that you would call it dog racism, but in the newest issue 2, where Rover Red and Charlie are still wandering Manhattan to finding out what happened, why all the people, the feeders as they call them, are dead. They turn a corner and they come across a group of chihuahuas that are all leashed together, and they're just like, oh, not these guys. And when the chihuahuas bark, they don't declare that I'm a dog. They're just like, what about me? What about me?
Yeah, just a real hive mind sort of mentality.
Yes,
it's creepy.
And I love the Monty Python end to that scene. It's great.
It's good. It's for those people who really like. I personally think as much as I love Preacher and Punisher, and Preacher's got a lot of humor to it. I really like when Garth Ennis has his dark sense of humor.
Yes, he's having a blast in this, I think. I just picture him with like a big old bottle of whiskey just typing away on his computer.
He's got his dog in his lap.
Yeah, hopefully not a chihuahua. But yeah, having a blast. This is a fun book, and I think everyone should check it out.
Yeah, well, the main character is a helper dog, and he takes a lot of pride in his vest. It's adorable. You love animals, you'll love this book.
The last thing Miracle Max and I want to talk about is not this, but Superior Spider-Man.
Yeah, probably whereas we talked about Uncanny Avengers being like the flagship, being like the new book for Marvel now. Superior Spider-Man is sort of like I feel like it's the controversy of that whole movement.
It's been polarizing since like Doc Ock, or as I see him called online, Spock.
Spock, yes, Spider-Ock. It's pretty good. Better than Rulk, which is Red.
Since Slott has killed Peter Parker and Spock has now taken over, lots of people have dumped the Spider titles.
Kind of in the same way when they did Brand New Day and started off Spider-Man with this new status quo.
But I feel that this, it's a little bit more vehement than Brand New Day was, which did have quite an outcry, but it swiftly disappeared, I felt.
You know what it reminds me of?
There's a lot of venom, no pun intended.
It kind of reminds me of when they went, not in the same sense it generated as much controversy, but it's sort of just something really mean that happened to Spider-Man, that they did to Spider-Man. In the same way, it reminds me of when Lex Luthor won the presidency of the United States. And, which is like a really mean kind of thought to think about. The fact that the bad guy wins and takes over. But at the same time, you get sort of a different perspective. Doc Ock has definitely been given this second chance at life. With a new body, with everything going right for Dr. Octopus, because that's kind of one of the things about that they bring about Dr. Octopus is that he was a dumpy doughboy scientist. He really did not get the girl. He did not get. He became a bad guy out of spite, and this is him starting off where everything's perfect. Is he going to do the right thing? Is he going to do a good job? And so far, the answer is maybe.
I still think it's true to the Spider-Man mythos. Everything that you said is true, and he is struggling, like Peter struggled with the responsibility and the power. Doc Ock is doing the same thing, and even he's made improvements.
I agree. He is definitely, at the same time, whereas he's made improvements in the life of Spider-Man, he's sort of let Peter Parker's old life go to pot, in the sense that he's had a big falling out with Aunt May. Everyone's, especially his ex-girlfriend Carly Cooper, is in some dire straits currently, and at the same time, so is Mary Jane. He kind of kicked Mary Jane to the curb. But at the same time, he has a new Parker girl who is a very, very, I won't spoil anything, Anna Maria Marconi, one of my favorite new Parker girls. She's a very sympathetic character. And
she is.
And it's someone that Peter Parker would not go for. I think when Peter Parker has his decisions
I think if Peter Parker were here, he'd definitely be friends with her, but I don't think there'd be a romantic interest.
Yes.
Because Peter Parker is a sympathetic character.
Which kind of brings up the point of, when is Peter Parker coming back? And if you've been following comic book news lately, he is, in fact, coming back soon. So, you're going to see some interesting fallout between Peter Parker's old life and Peter Parker's new life.
Yeah, and to that point, all of the online talk about Amazing Spider-Man coming back, the comic, Peter coming back, in relation to the new movie that's coming. There's lots of spoilers out there, and we were saying off camera that it just kind of takes you out of the fun ride that Superior Spider-Man is.
I mean,
which is a shame, because if you dumped Spider-Man when Spock here took over, you've been missing out, because it's still classic Spider-Man stories. It's great.
And that's exactly what it is. It was anybody who has ever read a comic knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. He is coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why this happened. It was a chapter in the story of Peter Parker where Dr. Octopus is Peter Parker. This is Peter Parker's face. This is Peter Parker's life. This is Peter Parker's name. But Dr. Octopus has mysteriously taken over, which is cool. So, but the spoilers, again, do take away from the story, and at the same time, they kind of vindicate the wrong, not the wrong side of the fan base. I don't mean it like that. But I'm just saying is that it takes away from the story, which we knew was going to end at some point, but it didn't have to be announced on the internet, in my opinion. But if it helps sales, whatever. But at the same time, it doesn't take away too much. I'm not going to stop reading the book.
No,
I'm really excited to see where the book goes with their big final story arc, Goblin Nation, which sets up Peter Parker versus, I guess, not Peter Parker, Dr. Octopus versus the Green Goblin in essentially a gang war, which is pretty cool. Because spoilers, old habits die hard, and Dr. Octopus has his SpiderMan, which are a group of ex-thugs who are now working for him on the right side of the law, but again, old habits die hard. So it's still going to be exciting, and you're going to see again. So it's not so much what's going to happen to Peter Parker that I'm looking forward to. It's what's going to happen to his supporting characters, which have drastically changed. Specifically, cute little Anna Maria Marconi.
And if Peter comes back, as it seems it's going to be vintage Spider-Man all over again, where, I mean, he has no idea what Ock has done to his life. Yeah. And he's going to come in and he's going to find out about Anne Marie. He's going to find out his relationship with Aunt May is strained. He's going to find out he owns his own business.
Oh, right.
It's like, I love that, it was endearing about Peter as Spider-Man, where he would just I need to unwind, I'm going to patrol the city, and he just swings around, just waiting to stumble into trouble.
Yeah.
And Ock, as superior Spider-Man, and in this instance I think that adjective is earned, he was proactive about patrolling the city, where he creates his Spider Bot, which is a nice nod to the Spider Slayer.
And the Spider Tracer.
Yes.
I like Spider.
And he has them all over the city to locate crime happening, and he has it prioritized, and if he can't be in two places at once, his Spider-Men take care of it. Yeah. That's, I think, my favorite bit of what Slott has done with Peter out of the picture, and I hope that stays.
I think it definitely will, because it's a great way to bring in that sort of, Batman feel to this character, without just totally overhauling Peter Parker and his mission statement. Yeah. I mean, you did overhaul it, but you overhauled it in a story manner and not hammy way, sort of. So, we're really excited to see where that title goes, despite any spoilers. But, Superior Spider-Man. Check it out. It's in trade. Very easy to find.
4 volumes, here. I think. Yeah.
4 volumes, right here. Comicazi. Every day. We love you.
So good.
So good. So thanks for watching the Comicazi Videodrome. We'll be back in a couple weeks to talk to you more about new releases and old favorites.
Right here. I like these fancy lights.
This is nice. This is nice. I feel celebrity status. I feel like I need a schwitz. You want to hit the sauna?
Yeah. Let's do that.